Hello, everybody. My name is Delazar Split, and today we're doing a little bit of a reaction video checking into Trope Talk. So, if you are not acquainted with OSP, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, genuinely. Why do you not understand what peak is? What true, unadulterated cool shit is? Honestly, I've been so behind on Aurora right now that I might have to check into Aurora, like, right after this video, so we can read it. If you don't know that, that's Red's comic. Yeah, it was really good when I was reading it every time. But right now, I was kind of taking a little break, and I haven't come back in a few months because I want to binge. Anyways, this is Trope Talk, Secret Identities. Obviously, we gotta speak about Batman and other characters, and I'm gonna throw up my own ideas in the middle of this. But please go into the description and watch the original video first, and then for me, you can come back if you wish.
You know, when I first joined the internet a little over a decade ago, there was a lot of common knowledge about internet safety that got drilled into my head. People online are not your friends, you don't know everything about them, and above everything else, do not use your real legal name to identify yourself. It kind of
Yes, 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 yes. I fucking love that. By the way, anyone who thinks that, oh, you're gonna meet Dell and you get to talk to me, I don't tell people shit. And if I do tell you something, it's more than likely a fucking lie. So if you continuously pressure me to give you a real legal name, I'm going to fucking tell you some random John Doe ass answer. Anyway, who's the strongest in the party? Astral. Between Tim, Jared, and you. Hmm. Are we talking inscription use, or like in character, or if I was playing you? Because there's tons of things that I could imagine y'all doing that in character your characters wouldn't do.
had dealing with the
By the way,
Fae.
I'm a DM.
Guard yourself carefully lest you be
That's what's
stolen
happening.
away by a stranger of danger. But then, somewhere along the line, some people with too much money figured out they could get more money if they had everybody's real legal name, so they could link it forever with their internet search and purchase history to make advertising so much easier. And suddenly, websites just really wanted to see your legal ID before they let you in for security reasons or something. And they'd just get so confused if you tried to slot something into their first name last name boxes that didn't look like your first and last name. And it became common widespread praxis to just broadcast your private identity to anyone who wanted to see it, with the absolute depth of the self-imposed panopticon being this idea that it was actively suspicious to not be doing that. After all, why would anybody want to not give 5 billion strangers on the internet a virtual house tour? That's some real
Yeah.
suspicious behavior, if you ask me.
I'm Delazar Slit. Some people know me by like 1,000 different names. And the amount of people who do know me by my actual name, shut your fucking mouth. You don't know me anymore. And if you continuously give away my information, I will know where you are. Anyways,
Privacy is a personal attack on my freedom to know everything about you, and more importantly, on a corporation's freedom to sell your advertising profile.
does Facebook sell your data? No, Facebook uses your data to sell access to you. For example, it will put an ad in your newsfeed, but it doesn't sell the data to you you provide outside buyers. That makes sense when you stop and think about it. Facebook's business is valuable because it's so much personal data about its users. Selling that data to advertisers would decrease. So, in other words, Facebook is the one who buys the ads and sells those to you and then makes commission off of you. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah, this is why I don't have Facebook, and I refuse to get Facebook. Shit. And when my family was like, "Yeah, you should get a Facebook," so you I'm like, shut the fuck up. No. Yeah. Also, how would I play you? I think Tim in character is pretty strong. I mean, motherfucker can fly effectively. Was able to fly, has a sword, kind of does cool shit. He does air slashes. He can levitate things. He can throw them around. All around, pretty good usage. Yeah, all around, pretty good usage of his abilities. As for how do I say this? Hmm. How I would play him? Make him fly a lot more, but also incorporate that sword into actually getting in there. because yes, his like whole thing is speed and doing shit, but man, AoEs don't give a fuck about your speed if you just get caught inside the AoE. Anyways, let's continue, and then I'll go on to the next character.
For money. No shade to any of my peers who do this, but there is
Mm-hmm,
something
mm-hmm.
a little bit dystopian about how the longest running wave of popular online sponsorships is centered on selling back the concept of privacy through VPNs and services you can pay to
Oh
get
yeah,
your
it
info
is.
removed from data brokers. I remember when this was an unthinkable level of internet unsafety, and we got here so fast because somebody figured out they could make money off of it, and now here we are. And the cynical part of me, which, contrary to popular belief, is not actually all of me, wonders if this rapid cultural shift is why, in roughly the same time frame, we've seen a significant downturn in the popularity of the concept of a secret identity. The secret identity trope is baked into the very
Mm-hmm,
foundations
mm-hmm.
of the superhero genre. Back in the
Yeah, I actually would definitely say that this is the reason. How the fuck you gonna have a secret identity when your phone and Alexa is constantly listening? Bitch, try to be a superhero in modern times when everything's listening to you. There is no way in hell you get to have superhero powers, and no one knows. Cries and having two broken inscriptions. Astral, it's okay, it's okay. When you write spells, and the DM is me, and I get the monkey paw the fuck out of you when you write them, what'd you expect to happen? Hi, I run a campaign where the magic system allows people to write their own spells. And you cannot reverse them. You cannot backspace either. So write them well. And if you fuck it up, well, I get to shit on you with memes. At least you're getting used to it. Yeah. I mean, you're working with two broken inscriptions, but that's also how it would work in universe. Multiple people just have like weird shit.
Zorro and Scarlet Pimpernel days, where the heroes were normal human vigilantes operating outside the law in defiance of an unjust and
Mm-hmm.
powerful government that, if they knew who they were, could easily thwart all of their do-gooding by just burning their house down. These mysterious masked men needed the mystery in the masks to cover their sneaky shenanigans, and this meant it was an absolutely top priority that their civilian identity be as far removed as possible from their
Puns
vigilante
betray a lack of
identity.
character,
Thus,
would
the
you say?
prototypical secret
Secret identity. A character that maintains a civilian identity as an unimpressive, boring, normal person to obscure their secret life as a super cool badass or some other vibe best kept hidden. It is rare for this to be secret to everyone. Usually there are one or two allies who know their secret dual life. The threat of exposure hangs over them. Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna drag this up here and put it on the screen.
identity trope took form. A character maintains two identities, one a seemingly normal person with a normal life and hobbies, and the other a larger than life character who gets up to hijinks that the secret identity could never be seen
Easy
accomplishing.
Toto
This was
kicking.
a very elegant formula for heroism with baked in tension. Not only was
I should have used the horse to jump. Uh that's kind of sad, Astral. Look at the bright side. I haven't locked it in yet. I haven't wrote it on your sheet yet, so you better start writing.
our protagonist at risk in their heroic identity of getting their ass kicked, they were also at risk of being unmasked and exposed, damaging or even destroying their civilian life and everyone associated with it. Or their separate identities could come into conflict with one another, like, for instance,
Aww, I actually really liked her vibes. She was really cool.
a character their secret identity was friends with might end up in opposition to their heroic alter ego. And in general, the tension of having to maintain a secret life away from the character's loved ones is a recipe for potentially endless volumes of drama. Now, this was not the only way for a hero to fly under the radar. Famous archetypical proto-superheroes like Robin Hood historically didn't have secret identities until relatively recent adaptations borrowed them back from the superhero genre he inadvertently contributed to. Robin Hood's main MO was literally just physically hiding, with his merry men holed up in some dark corner of the forest where the authorities couldn't find him. But the secret identity trope provided a much more elegant way for the heroes to maintain their nightlife and a day job at the same time. So instead of camping in the woods, they could be in a house and stuff. Interestingly enough, before the proto-superheroes, the secret identity mostly showed up in villainous contexts, or at least generally unfriendly ones. A major running theme through the Count of Monte Cristo is that mild-mannered Edmond Dantes adopts the persona of the mysterious Count of Monte Cristo to obscure the fact that he A. did not die in prison, and B. spent those long years in prison plotting an intricate revenge scheme against against the people who put him in prison in the first place. While
Mhm,
playing the
mhm.
Count, Edmund also takes on a handful of other disguises to properly array the chessboard as necessary. It's not quite the same as later Secret Identity stories. The Count doesn't end a long day of scheming by peeling off his goatee and saying, "Little does Madame Danglars suspect that the glamorous Count of Monte Cristo is secretly mild-mannered Edmond Dantes off to his day job at the Journal des Debats." But it definitely
I fucking love your pronunciations, Red, so much. They're beautiful. Also, you're gonna add movement speed to the horse? Yeah. For those who have no idea, he made an inscription that lets him summon a horse that can kick his target. He didn't write a movement speed on it, so it was just summoning a stand that can kick. It did charge. Huh, that's fucking funny. This is what happens when people don't read.
fits the same general shape. A more traditional early Secret Identity is in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
Since through the magic
Jekyll
of
and
chemistry,
Hyde. I
mild-mannered
actually like them
Dr.
a lot.
Jekyll gets to indulge his worst impulses in the form of the unrecognizable Mr. Hyde, free of the consequences of his actions until it all catches up with him and bites him in the ass, of course. But after the Scarlet Pimpernel in 1905 and Zorro in 1919, the concept of a secret identity was pretty solidly linked with heroism, allowing a good person to do good deeds that they'd otherwise be prevented from doing without significantly more difficulty. And that loose notion of incognito heroism carried over to Superman's debut in 1938, kicking off the superhero genre.
Yeah.
And Superman is a weird case, so we'll get back to him. The much
No
simpler
mask,
example from around the same time would
but
be Batman, explicitly inspired by Zorro and correspondingly borrowing his gimmick of posing as a rich idiot with no day job and spending his nights do-gooding in a mask and cape. Batman's version of the secret identity was significantly more cloak and dagger than Superman, with a secret base in his mansion and a loyal butler in on the scheme, even a kid sidekick sharing the same gimmick. From this point forward, almost every major superhero got a secret identity from day one, including slightly surprising cases like Thor, whose introduction in comics involved him
really?
losing all his powers and his memory of being Thor, with Odin turning him into the mild-mannered and physically disabled Donald Blake, who, as far as he knew, was just a normal guy. He then spent 10 years as Donald Blake before rediscovering his hammer and his powers, with the whole thing intended as a lesson to make Thor a little more humble by forcing him to see the world from the perspective of someone who wasn't an unstoppable god of thunder. This concept has been dropped in basically all.
Hold up, I actually never knew that was like that's actually Thor's like origin. Fuck no! Why don't we have that more often? That would be hella cool. I want that Thor, like modern Thor, but like with that as his way of starting.
Recent adaptations, which find it much easier to just let Thor be Thor 24/7. And there's that slight hint of weirdness again, isn't there? It's that same thing we smelled with Superman. There's this question looming over the secret identity trope when it gets applied to superheroes. Why does an explicitly super powerful entity need a secret identity to protect them? This is not an unanswerable question, but it does beg an answer. Back in the 40s, when superheroes were
people around them are
forward,
dangerous.
everyone got a secret identity by default, but that's not the de facto status quo anymore. Ever since the MCU wrapped up its first movie with I Am Iron Man, it's been the hip, trendy thing to make sure modern superheroes go maskless as much as possible, both to give the actors that precious, expensive face time and to theoretically replicate the runaway success of Iron Man by doing everything in it that worked the first time as many times as possible. In the current zeitgeist, it's almost a 50-50 shot if a character whose bread and butter is vigilante justice will bother with maintaining secrecy at all. And so the question comes up a lot.
Send the paperwork to my crystal starship on the moon.
More frequently. Does this character, who's traditionally had a secret identity, really need one? What purpose does it serve in the narrative? Is it needlessly confusing, or just the right amount of confusing? Now, there are some character factors that play into whether or not a secret identity really makes sense. Unpowered or low-powered heroes like Batman don't need to justify maintaining a secret identity because it feels like a completely logical way to keep the Batman project funded while staying out of jail. And there's the secondary
Yeah,
angle
that makes sense.
entire MO is built around creating an aura of unstoppable fear around the Batman identity, a fear that would be dramatically reduced if he were revealed to just be a rich kid with issues. One of the cool
Honestly, if I found out Elon was doing fuck shit, I wouldn't be scared of Batman. If I pulled back Batman's mask and I saw Elon Musk, I'm not gonna be terrified. I'm gonna look and be like, how the fuck did I let you beat me up? Anyways,
things about
hold up. Also, if I learned who I was and my friends and family could be targeted. And the government? Did you know grappling hooks are bad for building facades?
secret identities is that there are
Fair enough.
generic reasons to have them: protect loved ones, stay out of jail, but there can also be highly character specific reasons to maintain them. But in the case of many other superheroes, maintaining a secret identity feels strange or unnecessary. Recent adaptations of Thor usually just let him hang out on Asgard or in the Avengers Tower when he isn't out being Thor. He has no need of a day job and isn't particularly hurting in Lessons for Humility, so he's just Thor all the time. Wonder Woman is another character whose secret identity has kind of been deprecated over time. When she debuted in 1942, she maintained a civilian identity that she borrowed from somebody else, and she used it to work as a secretary in the army. But that kind of gradually fell by the wayside, and by the time Crisis on Infinite Earths rebooted the continuity, they basically dropped her secret identity altogether. With the caveat, the comic book continuity is a snake pit, and that's as far in as
Yeah, I
I'm
was gonna
going.
say,
The Justice League didn't make her
that
use the
doesn't
secret identity
matter.
at all. In
They're
fact,
comics.
Justice League is an interesting case study because of the main 7 characters: Superman, Batman, Martian Manhunter, The Flash, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern. Only 3 of them use their traditional secret identities, those being Superman, Batman, and The Flash. Martian Manhunter usually has a secret identity as extremely normal human detective John Jones, but this incarnation of the character had basically been locked up in a government facility since he landed on Earth, and then immediately joined the Justice League, so he didn't have time or inclination to make a civilian identity. Wonder Woman doesn't seem to see the point. This version of Hawkgirl has huge feathery wings growing out of her back, so passing as a normal human is kind of out of the question, and Green Lantern probably could do the secret identity thing, but as a former Marine and current space cop, he would probably consider it unethical to conceal his identity, and his comic counterpart hasn't worn a mask since 1985, so that one's pretty understandable.
Fuck
That's
yeah.
a less than 50% retention rate for secret identities in just one show. So it's pretty clear that as the characters get adapted and their circumstances change, sometimes their reasons.
So the more future we go, the less mask. So if I set it in the caveman setting, do they just like cover themselves entirely?
For needing a secret identity stop applying. Thor and Wonder Woman are both physical gods, and their characters work just fine with or without them needing to pretend to be ordinary people when they're paying rent. Sometimes characters with more modest living situations and normal day jobs, like The Flash, maintain their secret identities seemingly just so they can avoid the hassle that would come with being in superhero customer service mode 24/7. But
oh yeah, fuck that. I would never want to be that guy.
Have just gradually lost the secret identity thing over time. But Superman is a bulletproof flying tank who can hear someone talking on the other side of the planet and fly there before they finish the sentence. Why on God's green earth does Superman need to be Clark Kent? And Superman is a very interesting example.
First off, what do you mean Superman? There is no Superman. It is just Clark Kent. That's the part that I love. Clark is the man. The super identity, like he is putting on the mask for Superman, but it's inverted. Batman is the truth, and Bruce is a lie. But this is Superman is false, and the Clark is truth. He is always Clark.
Because he doesn't need to be Clark Kent. He is Clark Kent.
There we go.
An all-American
Yeah.
Kansas boy with his alien heritage and superpowers kind of creeping up on him as he grew up. Superman is a job he does, but it's not who he is. Adaptations like My Adventures with Superman build on this and highlight how terrifying it would be to undergo a transformation you don't understand and suddenly realize you don't work the same way as anyone else. That version
That's
of Clark
actually
hides his
really
powers
neat.
even from his most trusted loved ones because he is terrified that they'll think of him as a monster and he'll lose his friends. That is not the kind of problem that
I never
excess
knew
of
about the show.
superpowers
Well,
can
I know about the
automatically
show, but I
solve.
haven't
Part of what
watched
makes
the show.
Superman so interesting is he doesn't want to be an isolated physical god bunking down in his fortress of solitude. He wants friends and family and a normal life, and he could not have those things if everybody knew he could shoot lasers out of his eyeballs. And that's not his fault, it's the fault of how he'd be perceived. He doesn't want to be seen as a monster or a god, and that means he has to pretend to be a human. This is a pretty popular way to answer.
Who needs a secret identity? Anyone who wants to work life balance. Hey, aren't you buying cereal at 3 in the morning and clearly not in a chatty mood? Yeah.
The secret identity question. Superheroes are people too, and they want to be able to clock out and worry about normal people things sometimes. But it's
Honestly, I would straight up. If I knew I was decent at my job as superheroing, I'm walking in a city hall with mask already on and just gonna straight up look and be like, hey, I'll be here. I'm going to be here. I'm doing stuff. I'm not giving you my identity or anything else. Just understand. I'm going to be here for certain times of the day. If I'm asleep, there's like 3 other heroes in the city. You better finance and then make a schedule. Shit. I'm gonna clock the fuck out. I'm gonna clock the fuck back in if the entire city's in danger. But otherwise, if it's street level, shit. You better get your ass a regular officer for that.
It's not like having a secret identity automatically removes all the problems of a high-flying superhero lifestyle. As the superhero genre grew, secret identity drama became a popular staple of it, a secondary bit of drama to layer on for spice when the characters weren't just socking villains of the week on the jaw. Maintaining a secret identity left a superhero vulnerable to the dreaded high-stakes peril of interpersonal issues. A character in their secret identity would be unable to explain why they had flaked out on a social engagement, or why they always seem to disappear when things get scary, leading their friends and loved ones to frequently conclude that they're a coward or other similar unpleasantness. Sometimes, frequently even, a character in their secret identity will be pining after a love interest who only has eyes for their superhero identity, and revealing the truth to them would risk blowing their secret wide open. Characters with secret identities
Hey, welcome
are
up,
often
Afro.
very
How you
afraid of
doing?
their friends and loved ones discovering their secret, or more worryingly, of their enemies finding out who their civilian identity is, usually because they have a pretty sizable supporting cast of characters who could very easily be put in serious danger if a bad guy figured them out. But the price of hiding that from them is having to lie to their closest friends, and frequently being seen in a pretty negative light as the consequences of their double life catch up with them. What this means is that a superhero's identity being revealed is a constant threat that the story can tease them with whenever things need to be spiced up. But at the same time, it's a bit of a nuclear option. A secret identity and a superhero's private civilian life are integral to the status quo, and if the unthinkable happens and their secret...
Did I dress up for Halloween? I'll be honest with you, man. Nah. I don't need to dress up as a monster when I feel like one on the inside. Anyways,
secret identity gets blown, sure, it's a big moment, but it foundationally changes the story from that point on. If a secret identity gets broadcast to the world, everything is going to change. Villains have shiny new targets to hostageify. Former friends of the secret identity with grudges against the hero identity might suddenly be grappling with...
So our love triangle was you twice? That's fucking hilarious. Can finish kidnapping you and your mom later. Oh, that's so fucked up and also kind of wholesome. I like the idea of a villain who's been at it long enough that the hero has a relationship with him, and even if the villain does learn, basically, if it's a flash situation where the villains and the hero know each other well enough and they can kind of chat and batter and like batter and they banter. I love the idea of someone just going, "Hey kid, I know I've kidnapped you like for the last time this week, for like the first 3 times this week, but like, sorry for impacting your school day. Um, did you at least study for your next test? I saw last time I kidnapped you, you had like F. No, man, it's on Thursday, right? Fuck it, I'll take you then. You're gonna be studying while I have it with you. Next time you go into class, you're gonna fucking ace that shit. That would be funny. Lol, well dressed as a Judge Holden. Ah, shit. Fuck yeah. Neat. I can make it attack things in the air. Yeah. I mean, depends on how you write it.
feelings of crushing betrayal. Even when the current story resolves, the hero's downtime is no longer going to look like it did when they had a secret identity to relax in. They're going to be suffering all the worst effects of fame with the added threat of a supervillain busting in and flattening the dining room. Now, of course, these threats only apply to certain kinds of characters. Again, physical gods like Thor and Wonder Woman aren't really subject to a lot of these considerations. All of Thor's loved ones are either gods in their own right or superheroes. Or Jane Foster, who has at times been both of those things. Even big piles of money can suitably empower a superhero to
Did a YouTube short about it?
most of the
Oh,
nasty
fuck yeah.
consequences, which is why Iron Man has canonically shed his secret identity in both the comics back in 2002 and, of course, the MCU back in 2008, with really only minimal negative consequences. But some characters are much more at risk of
Spider-Man.
identity reveal, and the poster boy for that is probably Spider-Man. Which brings us to another interesting complication to the superhero genre: its constant ongoing war with its own status quo. Stories and characters need to change to advance over time and avoid retreading old ground too much, but any long-form serialized story is going to struggle with how to change without losing the stuff the invested
Just left it
audience
like that?
already
I mean,
loves.
sometimes that's
Spider-Man
what you have to
suffers from
do.
this big time because that man has not been able to consistently escape high school since 1962. And
Oh
the
my
writers will hold
god.
back any success he has in his relationships to keep him single, miserable and unsupported. This status quo treadmill phenomenon
Fuck.
affects many characters
Let
and their
Spider-Man
secret
have a
identities because,
bitch.
frankly, a character's
Sorry, not a
identity can
bitch.
only
Let
be
him have his wife
relocated
and
a number of
kids.
times before it fundamentally changes the game, that limited number usually being 1. And Peter Parker has had this happen
Yeah,
several
I'd be down with
times.
the link.
Unlike Iron Man, Spider-Man has
Send it
no
to the
money, and
Discord.
if he gets his identity blown, he has an elderly aunt, several love interests, and a school and or workplace full of friends that can very easily be threatened to get to him. And he can't exactly relocate them all to a high-security penthouse suite with 75 cents and a stick of gum. Because of this, the threat of his identity being revealed is constant and very severe, and there's only so many times he can go, haha, just kidding, before it stops sticking. Spider-Man's identity has been revealed several times in the comics, and while sometimes he has the cover that everyone thinks he's such a dweeb he's obviously just cosplaying Spider-Man, or they play the old switcheroony by having another friend turn up in costume so everyone can see they're obviously not the same guy, sometimes it sticks. This was even a critical part of the Civil War story, where as an inexplicable show of faith in the system of superhero registration, Peter Parker reveals his secret identity to the world.
And the world went to shit.
Aunt May gets shot because of it. Peter makes a deal with the actual devil to undo the entire thing, and the status quo rolls right back to where it was, only slightly worse, because Spider-Man cannot get out of a storyline without it punishing him in some way for existing. The secret identity reveal is such a nuclear option, it's almost on the level of threatening the end of the world as we know it. It's such a story breaker that it can almost never be fully committed to. But at the same time, small-scale reveals can be extremely impactful without really altering the status quo all that much, where the character
I feel like I would be betrayed if I came back to my partner just lounging on my couch with superpowers and they never told me before. But then I would look to them and be like, you can fly in the middle of sex, right? We gotta do some aerial maneuvers. We making this shit up today. Anyways, lost time cannot be gained back, but we can definitely make new memories. Anyone, let's read chat real quick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I read that.
reveals their secret, intentionally or otherwise, to a single friend or ally at a time. And these reveals basically come in 2 flavors. I had no idea, and I've known the whole time. The I had no idea reveal is typically how the hero in question expects things to play out. They seal their nerves, reveal their greatest secret, field any and all follow-up questions, and impress upon their conversational partner how absolutely vital it is that they not reveal the truth to anyone. These reveals can be very emotionally fraught, and the person being told about the secret identity might be quite upset or distraught at learning their friend has had this whole other side to them that they never told them about before. The I've known the whole time reveal is, in my opinion, so much more fun. In this scenario, the
This is the fun one. If you want to add flight, are you adding flight to yourself or to the horse?
secondary character either responds to their reveal or says unprompted that they have, in fact, known their secret for a hot minute, they've just kept it under wraps, preserving the hero's greatest secret without them even knowing they were protecting them. This reveal typically does a lot to strengthen the characterization of the secret keeper, because this means they were A, smart enough to figure this out, B,
Afro, that's what I said, right? Like, hey, new options just got dropped. At the same time, I don't care. Like, you kept superpowers for me, which is okay, weird. Like, you should have been able to tell me. But at the same time, if you fighting like supervillains and shit, I want to look at you like, Doctor Sexy 54989, that big ass robot that like can shapeshift and shit. Yeah. I understand why you kept that away from me. Uh-huh. You know what? Honestly, keep that secret identity. I ain't saying nothing to nobody.
compassionate enough to keep it hidden, and C, careful enough to succeed in keeping it hidden even while going through the typical trials and tribulations that come with being an important secondary character to a person who deals with supervillains on the regs. The character might even point out that the hero's disguise is paper thin, or that they've known each other for ages, or they can recognize their voice, or other typical plot hole dings.
Or here's the usual one. Sir, you just got into a street fight in front of me, defending us from a mugger. You pulled out the same kick that we've seen that hero do, like, for the past 3 years. And I know you haven't trained or practiced. No one does that.
That superhero secret identities get pinged with. Identity reveals are also a common way for superheroes to bond with each other. Characters with super senses can frequently just sniff out their allies even when they're out of uniform. Anyone who's telepathic has basically no excuse for not knowing who all their friends are, and anyone who's known Batman for more than 30 seconds can't expect to be on the Wayne family newsletter mailing list by the end of the month. Not every hero needs a secret identity, but I can see why it is the default starting point for pretty much every superhero. If a character doesn't need a secret identity, they can just drop it and eat the consequences. But if a writer decides to give a formerly public-facing hero a secret identity, it's a much harder transition to pull off without full universe retcons. Secrets really only move one way, and you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. They're not always necessary, but I think a lot of characters benefit heavily from the extra layers of drama and intrigue that a secret identity provides.
I
And I
agree with
promise
this.
I'm not mad that the MCU took like 3 entire phases to even consider letting a character have an actual proper secret identity, and they had to do a one more day universe reset to do it. I'm not mad, I swear. Earth's Mightiest Heroes basically doesn't let anyone have a secret identity either, and they pull it off just fine. Frankly, I expected to be more butthurt about this, but honestly, I think it's quite interesting that some heroes can just have their whole face hanging out and lose nothing in the characterization department, while for some characters, having their mask even slightly askew is a potentially devastating threat. The superhero genre can seem like a bit of a monolith at times, but at its best, every character is navigating a completely unique set of challenges, a combination of their own abilities, their goals, and their socioeconomic position in the real world. A secret identity can be a safe haven, a true self, a cunning disguise, a tactical asset. The concept is as varied as characterization itself, and to be honest, I was not expecting
It's just a
that when I
second
sat down to
character.
write this out. It feels so generic, but I think that's just due to overexposure. When we look at the characters whose secret identities have made it through 80 years
You
of
ever got
rewrites
a
and
number
adaptations.
crush? Wait, too shy to start comic book. Just didn't know what to say. Afro. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? 9 times out of 10, people approach me, and when I do get the feel for going to someone, I usually just think to myself and go, okay, let's go for it. Like, I'm usually a fuck it, we ball person, or they approach me. So, like, me and like worry too much. If I really liked you, I would have gone for you. If I didn't, I never was going to. You know?
We find almost as many reasons to preserve those identities as there are characters that have them. The good stuff sticks around. So, yeah?
Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the original video, please. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say and, you know, how funny I could possibly be. But, besides that, do me that favor of doing what I told you to do. Links will be in the description, and the little iCard should be telling you to go to different places. But, my name has been Della's Arslet. And, yeah. Go out and support. Okay, here comes the part where I start plugging myself. If you want to, like my video if you enjoyed. Comment because you have something to say. Subscribe because you believe that I am worthy of your subscription. Thank you very much. Bro, I don't want to fumble bad. Afro, I'm going to start giving you, like, advice, but you're going to have to answer honestly, okay? Question number 1. How long have you known this person? By the way, other things that I do 3D art for commission and pixel art. I'm possibly going to start doing, like, drawn sketches, like, regular paper that I just scan and then send to y'all. But, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, vibe. Have a lovely fucking day. And, yeah. Please, do well. Be well. I love each other. Have fun and vibe. Yeah. By the way, I make this type of shit all the time. And it's kind of just dope.